So it's 2020, we've been through the worst global pandemic in over 100 years, and resorts in Las Vegas, and around the world for that matter, are still charging obscene resort fees. What are they charging them for? We're going to discuss whether or not they're even legal and what could possibly be done about it. And that's the purview of today's video. See, I don't care about the resort fees as much as you do because I live here. See, my name is Steven and I am not leaving Las Vegas. And I'm a Vegas blogger, so I hope you guys would like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And for the record, I had a video ready to go. The cicadas ate it for dinner. I just couldn't bring you that kind of audio, so I always strive for the best. Hopefully you guys will subscribe to the channel and leave us a comment below. What do you guys think about the idea of resort fees in 2020? I know you want to get rid of them, but do you think they'll ever go anywhere anytime soon? I'm going to say probably not, but that's just my take on it. I'm going to tell you guys how I think they might be even criminal, and we're going to use a lot of the word allegedly here without naming specific names of things, okay? So if you guys want to support the channel, like I said, comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Hit the bell for all notifications. You guys know when I do videos. Make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube has been batch purging people for no reason. It's random. I don't know why. And also, you guys can head on over to Patreon where you guys can be in the credits of my videos. I add them on Sundays to the new patrons that come in, and you guys can also get early access to work that I'm doing, blog posts and photos, or vegasfacemask.com. That's a good way to do it. We have right there 2 for $25. The only face masks you'll ever need. My wife makes them. She's making them literally right now. They go around the back of your head like that. Oh my gosh. How do you like the D hat? I like that too. But these ship anywhere in the USA and they're all custom made and my wife makes them just for you. All right, so that aside, free ways to support. Go over to the Facebook group called Not Leaving Las Vegas. Join up there. We're going to be at 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, or 5,000 group members by the end of the year. I'm really, really happy with that. I'm happy that you guys have that spot to talk about Las Vegas stuff. So resort fees may be criminal. They might be criminal. What are they? Well, we have two different ways to look at it. I'm going to tell you the two ways the resorts will actually justify these things. Now, they're going to justify it to the consumer in one way, but there's the real reason. Then we move on to why I think resort fees might be criminal. They might not even be a fair thing, and you guys might want to stay tuned for that part of the video, and we're going to use, again, the word allegedly a whole lot, not name names. But resort fees are, from what I can read, what I can find out, the first resort fees were charged in 1997. It was just a standard fee on top of your hotel fee. So if the hotel said it had a rate of $50 and the resort fee was $10, and the resort had 100 rooms, they make an extra, 10 times 10 for 100, 10 times 100 for 1,000 for that room night that they have all their rooms occupied. It was basically a cash grab. The resorts do this now, it sounds like, because of the internet. Now, if the first resort fees came up in 1997, this makes perfect sense. In 1997, we were just getting over the weirdness of buying things on the internet. The whole world was opening up to e-commerce, and we started doing hotel reservations online. Yeah, I think I helped one of my uncles book a room around the year 1999 online from Canada. He couldn't figure it out. It was all fun and games, and it was very not easy, but people were booking rooms online. That poses a problem for the actual resorts themselves. You see, the resorts will have their data fed into a travel website like Travelocity, TripAdvisor, kayak.com, whatever Orbitz, whatever people are using to book rooms nowadays, whatever you like to use. And those hotel website booking sites, or those booking sites for the hotels, will reduce the fees to stay competitive. The resorts need a certain amount of money guaranteed coming in for a room night, so the resort fee goes to guarantee that they're getting X amount of dollars for every single reservation that's sold by a third party. Otherwise, there'd be a big bidding war and the hotels would essentially lose money on the room. That's what I have been told. That's the most logical explanation to me. You let me know if that's logical to you. At the same time, though, the resorts want to paint a different picture for you, the end consumer, and for me, the person talking about it. The resorts at the same time want to tell us things like, well, the resort fee goes to cover in-room Wi-Fi and pool access and access to the gym and access to the valet service. Many things people don't actually use anymore, but maybe 10, 15 years ago, they absolutely did. 10, 15 years ago, you didn't have a Wi-Fi connection because your phone wasn't a smartphone. Maybe you would take advantage of that Wi-Fi, and that was justifiable. 10, 15 years ago, maybe you would find it in-room coffee maker to be a whiz-bang thing, and you would be like, oh, cool, a resort fee, I can trade that off. But nowadays, in the year 2020, especially after we've gone through an entire global pandemic, when the gyms are oftentimes not open, your Wi-Fi is negated by the fact that your phone probably has a faster internet connection than the resort's going to feed to you. The fact that there may not be valet service because of the spread of the virus and strangers getting in and out of your car is not a good idea. And the pool might have a 10-hour wait. What are we actually paying for right now? Not a whole lot. And that gets us to our next point. If you are not using the amenities, is it even legal and morally, ethically right to charge them? Probably not, but that's not going to stop them, is it? Well, what about the idea of it not being legal in general, period? That's the question that I have. See, there's two schools of thought that I was able to come up with on all this. The first school of thought is the idea of a bait and switch advertising campaign. Now, in the United States, we have 50 different states. None of this is actually covered under the Constitution. People will say things and slam their hand on the table and say this is unconstitutional. No, that's not what that means. The Constitution only covers basic human rights in this country. You know, the right to freedom. The government doesn't knock down your door and take you away in the middle of the night. You can say your religious beliefs. You can say whatever at a protest, and you can do certain actions. They don't talk about the resort fees. I don't think the founding fathers were walking around going, we have to protect all of these new colonists from the resort fees from the Marriott or the MGM. They weren't saying anything like that. So it's not a constitutional thing. But every state does have their own attorney general. So 47 states, as a matter of fact, in the United States have opened up suits against and investigations into these practices. The Marriott was subpoenaed because they were refusing to cooperate. These are all public things. I'm not demonizing the Marriott. I'm using them as one example I could find. They refused to cooperate into an investigation over their resort fee practices themselves. So we do have some government intervention, and I'm not a huge fan of government intervention and oversight. I lean more towards the let me be and let me run my business side of things, but this is hurting the consumers, so we have to pay attention to it. So there's no protection against it, but there is the bait and switch aspect, going back to that. Now, bait and switching is something that's an old advertising practice. It's unscrupulous, it's unethical, and it should not exist. That's the practice in which somebody comes along and says, we have a $10 toaster, and you show up and there is no $10 toaster. They only have $20 ones, but hey, they got you there with that advertising. Now, who buys a toaster nowadays? Heavens to Murgatroyd, no one's buying a toaster. A $10 widget. What's a widget? It doesn't matter. It's a fictional thing. So that, to coin a line from a movie incorrectly. So that's a bait and switch practice. Now, in some places, those are actually outlawed. We don't have the same protections as they do in, say, the European Union and the United Kingdom. Is it legal from a bait and switch aspect? Could we come up with a case of you're bait and switching us? Case in point, the Caesars Entertainment Group themselves know this is a problem. So far so as Tony Rodeo, the former CEO of the old Caesars Entertainment before it merged up with Eldorado, said in a quarterly earnings call years ago that they were posting big profits largely because of resort fees. Now, those resort fees are a big problem, obviously, and he knows it. And he says in that same statement, and then a few sentences later, we have to watch out for this. We can't let it creep up too much. What do? They increase the resort fees because that's the way to make money. So we have bait and switch. Bait and switch is where Caesars Entertainment says $10 room rates at the Harrah's and the Flamingo. You go to the site, all excited. Yeah, I'm okay with flexible stays. I did a video on this last week. You should check out if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Make sure you do. And then your $10 resort stay turns into a $50 one because of a $37.95 resort fee plus taxes and everything else that you can't get around. Bait and switch. You're excited. Now you're into it. You're 5, 10, 15 minutes into booking your room. Well, you might as well go all in. I mean, yeah, it's more than I wanted to pay, but it's still not a bad rate. And it is still not a bad rate. That's the thing too. Some people will decry that I'm complaining for nothing because it's not a bad rate. I'm not saying it's a bad room rate. $50 to stay at the Flamingo is actually a decent price for the room. You can upgrade it for a few dollars more and get a much nicer room too. These are not bad room rates. It's the bad resort fees that are representing the industry as a whole in a really negative sense. So we have bait and switch. What about something called collusion? Now, I'm not saying this is happening. I'm just saying that this could happen in certain markets, okay? Let's say, to borrow an example from the old Fox television animated series King of the Hill, you have all the propane people in one spot in one city. They all decide that instead of having a price war to try to win your business, they're all going to just incrementally increase the prices on everything. Think about it this way, right? If all of the game console manufacturers decided that next generation all the consoles would cost $800 each, you wouldn't have much choice but to pay $800 each. And in this case, it doesn't look like you have much choice but to pay what they want you to pay for the resort fees. They do vary. Some of them are lower, some of them are higher, but it's like death, taxes, and resort fees. These seem to be the three things that you can't get out of. However, resort fees are a tax, so I guess it's still just death and taxes, right? So what about the government's coming in and actually trying to stop all of this? Why is it that the Attorney General of the state of Nevada or the Attorney General of the state of Florida or Hawaii, or in Florida, for example, there are 2 resorts from what I read that have over $100 per night resort fee. Why haven't they stepped in to do anything about it? Well, that comes down to something that we're going to call lobbyists. And if you're not familiar, you should get familiar. This is largely the way that the world works, unfortunately. I'm going to use an example of big pharmaceutical companies and doctors, okay? Big pharmaceutical companies, they have people that know the government inside out. They might have even worked for the government. The current president actually made a law that says that after you work in the government and you cannot go into lobbying for 5 years to give you a cool down so you don't know so many connections, but you're still going to know the old timers in the government that have been there for 40 years. You go into a private industry like pharmaceuticals, or maybe you go into, I don't know, the hotel industry, and you're a lobbyist for them. You go to those companies and you say, what do you want me to do? And in the case of pharmaceuticals, they say, we want to charge whatever we want for our drugs, and we want easy access to getting approvals. In that case, they go back to the lawmakers and the regulators that have to vote on such things, and they say, hey, buddy, we're trying to get this thing passed, and we really don't want you to mess with it, so here's a free gift. Can't bribe politicians, right? Right. Well, in the case of the hotel industry, it's similar, right? You're going to have people in the Attorney General's office that might want to investigate this stuff, and at the same time, you're going to have different lawmakers that want to look into it to look out for the consumer, and then you're going to have them lobbyists from those hotel industries, and they're going to say, "Hey, Mr. Politician man, I can't bribe you directly because that's against the law, but our company, we have this giant private resort in Fiji. We would love to send your family there." Or, "Hey, you know what? I heard your son." He really likes LA Dodgers. I know the owner of the Dodgers. Come to think of it, is the owner actually still Magic Johnson? We know those guys. Wouldn't it be great for your kid to go and have an ultimate experience and backstage, and would give you an all-inclusive trip to LA? And while you're there, you just think about your friends in the hotel industry. And that's maybe allegedly a reason why in the past this stuff is proven, not in this case, but in the cigarette lobbyists and alcohol and different pharmaceuticals, to go nowhere when the people are supposed to be looked out for by the lawmakers. I can't say it's happening in the state of Nevada, but I can say a few things on this. Resort fees aren't going anywhere anytime soon. I said this at the beginning of the pandemic when we were all getting closed down and people were asking me, do you think they're going to get rid of them in order to bring us back in? I said, no. It's too much of a profit stream for them. They can't give it up. They can't do it. Why don't they just post up the full prices on the hotels? No, that would never work. There's too many hotels. One goes rogue, lowers the prices, gets all the business, and the resort loses money ultimately when all the other websites do that. So there's not really one really cohesive solution to all of this. It's kind of disconnected, and it's kind of a pain in the butt because it hurts you, the consumer, when you come into a place like Las Vegas to have fun, not stare at the same 4 walls you stared at while you were in your quarantine for such a long time, and all you want to do is have a good stay for a good price. What we have to do, and I've said it before on the channel too, is put our money where our mouth is, and unfortunately that's hard to do. I'm not telling you not to come back to Las Vegas. I'm not telling you right now to come to Las Vegas. If you're a sensitive person with a bad immune system, or you know somebody that might be hurt when you come back home from the trip, you should definitely stay away at this point. But if you're still willing to come, wear your face mask, sanitize your hands religiously, burn your clothes in a big steel bin when you get back home. Probably not going to do that last part. Just wash them in hot water. Then you can still come in and you can still have a good time. But you're still going to have to pay the resort fee. There's no getting around it right now. Some hotels have run some little promotions for here and there, but nobody's really stuck with it. Maybe one day some big mover and shaker like stevenj comes back into the picture, decides he's not going to do those resort fees, but he's just going to charge a very high room rate, and then you might choose to go there. And then guess what'll happen? Everybody will play follow the leader, as they always do. They did it with paid parking. They're doing it with everything else. They'll do it with the resort fees. Until that time, we're paying them. What can you do? And that's my commentary for today, and I hope you guys appreciate that. I hope you like it, and you left me a comment along the way. And once again, my name is Steven, by the way, and I'm not leaving Las Vegas. I'm a Vegas blogger. I hope you would like, share, subscribe. My first video, if I haven't mentioned it, I did it outside. The cicadas just destroyed it. It was unlistenable, so I'm doing it in here right now. Go Rangers. I know they're not in the playoffs, but I'm a Mark Messier fan. A subscriber sent me this. Thank you so much. And Richard Wilk gave me this hat from the D Las Vegas. Very nice, officially licensed gear, and I bent the brim just for you. If you guys want to reach out and support, we have Patreon, Amazon links. You guys can also do vegasfacemask.com, the only masks that you'll ever need. I also have a Teespring store, which I never talk about. It's in the comment on the first comment of this video below. Now's the time of the video, though, where I have to click out. So I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, click. I'm not going to reach to my camera because it's about 5 feet away from me. So 3, 2, 1, and click.